No longer than 10 years ago, there were still some video stores when you could buy some amazing DVDs like this. Well, with the arrival of streaming services like Netflix, this era was over. But did you know that even Netflix, at the beginning, it was a video store, a kind of video store that has a subscribe-based DVD by mail service. Until 2007, well, Netflix started having some streaming services, and with only one click, you could have access to the whole catalog of Netflix with all their shows and all their movies. Well, this magic trick is due to what we call the cloud computing. Hello Internet, and welcome to the PodTech Talk, where we break down the technology that is making your lives better. I am Mehdi, your host, and in today's episode we're gonna make a trip to the skies since we'll talk about the cloud. So before getting to any idea or any explanation about the cloud, let me just give you some understanding or some basics about the internet. So if you know it, you know it, and if you don't know it, you will get some understanding about it. So let's say that you want to see the latest video about latest video about Algerian Black Pearl on YouTube. Well, starting from the moment when you type on your navigator youtube.com and you hit the enter button, you are sending actually a request saying, for example, hey, show me or get me the YouTube's page content. This request is actually sent from your computer and starts its journey through multiple networks, and starting from your home to your street, to your commune, and even your region and your country. Each of these can be referred as nodes. So at each node, your request or your message that you are trying to send to YouTube, it is redirected to its right path until it gets to Google servers that will get the request that you requested for and opens the message. Okay, so now imagine Google servers as an administration guy that open your request or open your message and see, hey, show me YouTube's page content. So he will say, okay, why not? We'll get you your YouTube content page, and he will respond or give you a message, get back a message as a response. We call it a response. But however, the difference between a request and the response has a huge content in it. So instead of sending only one message, it will be through multiple messages to get you the content of this response. So as for the request, it will get the whole journey, getting from one country to another, from networks and network hubs. Of course, all that story happens in milliseconds. When you're hitting you're hitting the enter button to see your YouTube's page, all of that happens in milliseconds and get from your home, your computer, to another country, and it sends back some data. So of course it depends on the server's performances and of course the internet speed. Now, the reason why I told you all of that story about the internet and its basics, so it was first of all to make you an advanced user of internet. So now you know what's happening behind your screens when you're requesting for a web page, or for example. And the second thing is to get you familiarized or give you an introduction about these servers. So as I referred, servers are some kind of an administration guy, but in reality, these servers are some supercomputer and powerful computers that handle your requests and send you back some response or send you back some data. And why it has to be powerful, and the difference with a simple computer, it has to be powerful because it has to handle multiple requests at a single time, and it has to store a large amount of data. So for example, for YouTube, since the beginning of YouTube in 2005, it has uploaded more than 1 billion videos in their servers. And I'll let you imagine the size of all that content. And also YouTube, each day there is 5 billion videos that are watched in a day. So I let you to imagine the numbers of requests that are made to YouTube servers. So for that, YouTube is not, or Google is not using only one server, but thousands of servers to handle all the users and all the data over the planet. Now you might be like, okay, wait, so if I want to have an application or a website, do I need to own my own server? and it will cost me a lot and this kind of thing. Well, yes and no. You have to a server to deploy your web application or website or server, but it hasn't to be yours. I mean, there are some companies like SiteGround, GoDaddy, or Bluehost that offers that have multiple servers, powerful servers, and they will rent you a space on that server. Generally, these kind of companies offer you two kind of services. Either it is a shared server or a dedicated server. It means that it's a shared server when this server has multiple applications in it or multiple websites in it, and it is dedicated when the whole server is for you. That it means that the whole server serves your application. Of course, here it depends on which website or the kind of services that you are having in your website. For example, if it's a personal website or your website doesn't need a lot of requests or doesn't need a lot of data, you won't need to have a dedicated server only for you. You can have a shared server with other applications in the same time. Now, the problem with this kind of services like the dedicated server or the shared server, when your application or when your service need more resources, you have to upgrade the server. So for example, if your application is having more and more clients and having more and more users, you have to upgrade your server so that it can handle more and more requests. And the same example for data. So if a server handles only 1 terabyte, for example, and you have more than that as data, you have to upgrade your server and eventually even have another server to serve your application. On the other hand, even when your server gets down or gets a problem in your server, your whole application gets down and none of your services will be available. In addition to that, imagine having a dedicated server for you and your application is off, like you are not using your application or there is no request to your application. Well, you will still pay for this server because it's running. It's like paying for electricity that you are not using. Like imagine you are home and you are paying for electricity, and one day you got to a trip or something and no one is at home. You won't pay for the electricity. But imagine if it was the case. For this reason comes the cloud computing. So for now, when you say cloud, most of people would think like cloud it's Google Drive or iCloud that stores my data. Well, yeah, it is, but it's not only for that. It's not only for that the cloud are used today. The cloud is basically a lot and multiple servers that are interconnected. And when I say multiple, it means that like thousands and thousands of servers that are interconnected that serves your applications, and you can access to the power of these multiple servers through internet. And here, instead of having your application on a single server, you will have your application on these multiple servers that will serve your application, and it will be distributed on all of these services. Like for example, if you have multiple functionality in your server or in your application, each of these functionality will be in a kind or in a server, in a distributed server. So cloud hosting uses innovative technologies to spread the files, data, resources, and bandwidth, and also computing operations among multiple servers that are networked to act as one system. This distributed solution eliminates any single point of failure, provides redundant data storage, like for example, if you lose some data in your application, this data is also present in other servers. Another big bonus of cloud computing is that you are not paying for the services that you are not using. It means if your website or your application is offline, you will not pay the fees for that consumption or that renting. I mean, I'm not saying that cloud computing is over the traditional hosting services. Like it is used according to the use case. So let me just give you an example about it. So if you have, for example, a simple web page or you have a small business, you wouldn't need a cloud-based solution or cloud-based hosting for your business, since you haven't a lot of requests and you haven't a lot of data. But imagine, for example, for Netflix. Netflix has millions of users over the world, and they have millions of, well, not millions, but there is huge content on Netflix. So they have to have this capability and flexibility on their applications so that they offer and they would be always available. Like, I mean that the future of cloud computing is bright and offers benefits for both the customer and the host. Like, imagine for now what we wouldn't have, what we were not having actually 10 years ago. We have now streaming content, like we have the best streaming content on Netflix, for example, or Amazon, and this wouldn't be possible without cloud computing. And I would cite more of these, like for example, now with availability of 5G, there will be more and more applications on cloud computing, since this technology uses the full power of internet. What actually I'm the most excited about is the cloud gaming. Imagine that you wouldn't need any of stations or something to play your games. Like for now, you have to have an amazing station PC, like you have to have last RTX 3080 to play your games, or let's say a PS5 or an Xbox. But with the cloud computing, and if it's spread, you can play your games with your simple television and with the capabilities of an RTX, like because you are using the hardware of the cloud of these services to get you the best performances and the best experience. So we come to the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it and learned some new informations. Thank you guys for watching, and don't be just give me some of your impressions and some of your questions, and got you guys on the next one. Ciao.